Welcome, this is Monty, once again on my 5-mile walk. This is a very nice day today. We finally got a little bit of water in the creek here. Okay, this is the creek that is usually dried up when I'm walking. Right there, it's gushing pretty good, as you can finally see, which is cool. And we expect rain for the rest of today and maybe tomorrow. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm doing my 5-mile walk. I almost thought that I wasn't gonna be able to walk. I don't know if you can see the raindrops, but it is actually raining, coming down just slightly, like a constant drizzle. But it's very nice, and I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I forced myself to, or made sure to come out. It wasn't a major issue as far as me coming out. I was pretty sure I was going to come out. I wasn't sure how long I was going to be able to stay out. That was the thing I had to think about, how bad was it going to be. But as we find out in most things in life, you put yourself in a given situation, and somehow you can get through it after you get yourself into the predicament, if you will. And then you finally realize, okay, it's not that bad. I can deal with it. Anyway, what's going on today, you guys? What are you talking about today? A lot of you probably don't know, but I'm a big fan of certain esoteric subjects, like something called the holographic universe, quantum mechanics, quantum field theories, global consciousness. Let me give you a few names just in case you want to do some research, and then we'll try and see if we can discuss a little bit. Diane Hennessy Powell. That's Diane Hennessy Powell, Powell. Dean Radin, Dean. Radin is, I think it's Radin. I think Dean Radin runs the Noetic Society or center up in Petaluma, California. That's Dean Radin. Individual also by the name of Rupert Sheldrake. Okay, Rupert Sheldrake. Who else do I want to mention? Lynn McTaggart. Okay, what's so special about these people? Well, Dean Radin, I think he's running the Noetic Center. IONS. What does that stand for? It's called. They use the acronym IONS. IONS. I have to look it up. Can't remember. But basically, what they do up there, they study these really weird phenomena that we experience on an occasional basis. We know something's going on, but we're not quite sure. We can sense certain things before they happen. We tend to be able to communicate, across great vast distances. We tend to be able to do extraordinary things without even knowing what we're doing. There's, certain terms that are thrown about, clairvoyance, telekinesis, remote monitoring. A lot of these things are phenomena that are poo-pooed and pushed aside as totally hogwash, if you will. But what Dean Radin is doing, he's using the scientific method up there at the Noetic Center in Petaluma, California. I think that's actually run by or founded by Edgar. What's his name? He's a former astronaut. Edgar. He's one of the few guys that walked on the moon. You can look it up yourself, but I think his name was Edgar something. I can't remember. But I'll try to put it in the notes maybe. But he's one of the former astronauts, and he founded this institute because he kind of got the impression that there was a great deal of phenomena going on that were previously unexplained and kind of hushed and pushed under the rug. So anyway, Dean Radin is doing scientific experiments. He uses a scientific approach. In other words, he does hundreds and thousands of case studies and trial experiments to determine, are we sensing each other's emotions? Can we sense something about to happen Does our gut, does our intuition have any bearing on these things? Dean Radin, one of his experiments was to put a bunch of flashcards in front of a person, or he picked them up and he showed them to individuals who were in a testing environment. And prior to showing some of the cards, the cards had images on them, for instance, a loving couple, horrific, crime scene, pets, certain things that were pleasing, certain things that are very, very horrific. He found out by hooking up electrodes to people that on numerous occasions, people could actually start changing their biochemistry in anticipation of a card that was about to be shown to them. In other words, they were interpreting already what the card was going to show them. If it was a loving couple, heart rates would decline. People would be in a blissful state and relaxed and calm. If it was going to be a horrific card that was going to be turned over and shown to them, to the subject, the people would get anxious, sweaty palms, etc., increased heart rate in anticipation of seeing the cards. So, Dean Radin conducts hundreds and thousands of these cases to prove these theories, and he uses statistics to justify his results. Rupert Sheldrake, what does he do? He has an approach that's similar to Dean Radin. Rupert Sheldrake believes in or tries to make us aware that there's a force or a field out there that we tap into. For instance, when we're playing table tennis, the ability to hit the ball back and forth very quickly goes way beyond what was actually possible as far as our neurons and transmitters transmitting that quickly. So we're tapping into something else, according to Rupert Sheldrake. We seem to be connecting mind to mind, for instance, and that way the reaction times are justified. But our neurotransmitters and such can only transmit so quickly. So obviously we're doing something other than using our reactions. We're basically connecting mind to mind some sort of way. And through the, what else? Let's see, Diane Hennessy Powell. She has observed situations and documented a lot of situations in surgery rooms where people have out-of-body experiences while they're having surgery. And on numerous occasions, people have somehow had an out-of-body experience where they can recall things that were happening in the surgery room, even floating outside the hospital rooms and seeing various things that are happening outside of the surgery operating room. That's well documented in her book, The ESP Enigma. Pick up a copy of The ESP Enigma. I read it. It's very, very good, very, very good scientific approaches to doing analysis and making absolutely sure that she has a lot of case studies and citations and references to back up her work. Lynn McTaggart, she was amongst a group of people who actually worked for the federal government in terms of doing remote monitoring and stuff like that with Ingo Swann and certain other people. And they actually led the United States to find certain hidden sites, whether in Russia or whether a plane was downed in Africa. They turned to certain people like Ingo Swann and I think Lynn McTaggart to help find missing planes, remote facilities in different countries occupied by the our enemy countries, etc., etc., etc. Look up Lynn McTaggart, McTaggert or ART, Lynn McTaggart. I studied her amongst all the other people very, very thoroughly, and I like Lynn McTaggart a lot. Very, very intelligent woman. And who else? There's a researcher out of Canada. His name is, let me see, what is he? Anyway, he has a device called the God Helmet, G-O-D and then Helmet. And it's very intriguing. I was communicating with him by email. And if you Google creator of the God Helmet, God, what's his name? Michael? I can't remember his name. Maybe it'll come to me. But anyway, he created the God Helmet, and I was talking to him about marketing the God Helmet at one time. We didn't get very far because I just dropped the project for whatever reason. I can't remember why. But anyway, the individual is very, very fascinating. And so yeah, the point with this walk and this talk is all about realizing that in the quantum world, anything is possible. Communications through a global force field, if you will, is that seems to be the way animals communicate, people communicate over vast distances. Quantum entanglement is one idea that's been thrown about as far as what role does that play. Okay, quantum entanglement implies that two atoms, two people, two entities mingling at one point are basically going to be able to communicate. One experiment, for instance, over vast distances, whether it's feet, miles, light years, scientists have commingled two atoms together. They separated them by vast distances, miles, light years apart, and they found out that when you interact with one, the other one behaves in identical manner, no matter what. And quantum mechanics, it actually explains why atoms and such go through materials, seem to exist in multiple places at once, why certain phenomena happen along those lines where, you know, one thing appears here, then it disappears and appears over there, or things seem to, again, flow through solid structures. And we're learning that even with the quantum computers that are going to be coming on board in the very near future, what they're doing is they're lowering the temperature significantly below zero. And at that point, as long as humans aren't observing what's going on, see, we change the reality of things when we observe it. But with quantum computers, you isolate it and you freeze it and you lower the temperature of those quantum qubit chips. And then that way they can do the calculations, which basically go way beyond what classical computers can do. It just basically means that you can have answers to various questions done at a huge scale. And in other words, something that's really difficult to get an answer for: weather conditions, nuclear explosions, medical, pharmaceutical problems use huge number crunching capabilities. And because the answers are rated in the trillions, the questions are rated in trillions, you can get those types of very specific, you can get those types of answers with quantum computers. So the quantum world is one world that we're coming close to every single day. And I think you guys may want to take a look at some of these individuals and study that and try to figure out what role does that play. This is something that I've been studying for 10 or 15 years, and it's very interesting. On my website under articles, I have an article called Marrying, like marrying two people. It's called Marrying the Quantum World with, what is it? Global consciousness. And there's a few different things wrapped up in that article, and they really go together well. But yeah, I think the quantum world is very fascinating, because a lot of things just don't make sense and with traditional physics. But when you look at quantum level interactivity, then you start to get some answers. Then things start to make sense in terms of some of the weird phenomena that's going on. So take a look at it, at the article, and just wanted to throw this very esoteric subject out there, so you guys can do some further research. And if you want to go to my website and take a look at marrying quantum physics or global consciousness, or look at that article. I'll try to put it in the notes, okay? So you can just click on the link and go to the article yourself. But this, to me, this is fascinating stuff. When you get tired of the rat race and all the garbage associated with office politics and regular politics and all the crap on the news media and all that, sometimes you get the impression that there must be more out there, and indeed there is a lot more out there. And the reality that we exist in right now may not be all there is. There may be different realities. The double slit experiment, which you may want to look up, seems to indicate that when you start observing things, you cause the wave, the particle, the wave to collapse into a particle, which basically means you bring realities into existence. And when you're not observing things, then we have potential. We have a wave state. So everything around us, before we observe it, exists in a wave state. And then when we do observe it with human consciousness, for instance, you collapse that wave into a particle. Then you bring it into reality, and then you start interacting with that reality. So we're all basically bringing reality into an existence, and then we live in that reality at that given moment, but without observing it, without collapsing that particle, without collapsing that wave into a particle. There's endless possibilities. You know, you have the option of having the parallel universe theory, the multiverse theory. All these things are other dimensions, and they all exist, again, until we start bringing things into a reality through collapsing that wave into a particle. Anyway, lots of weird phenomena, lots of fascinating research and studies going on. Be a part of something other than participating in the rat race and thinking that, you know, only thing to do is work hours, try to get money, try to get a big house, try to compete with the neighbors and all that. That's bullshit. That's all the part of this matrix system that they set up for you guys. And you don't want to live and die within a matrix. You want to step outside of it at least every once in a while and realize there's much more going on. Anyway, I'm done with my walk. Just a little bit of drizzle. Everything's wet. Gonna hop in my car and make my way home and relax and take it easy. Okay. So anyway, you guys have fun, and it was a pleasure. The very weird esoteric subject to you guys. Do some study on it. Let me know what you think. All right. Take care. Bye.